Hey everyone, we are back with another episode of the Synovio Marketing Masterclass. I'm so excited to be here today. We have Jaden from the studio next door. She is here to tell us all of the things about her photography studio, about spray tanning, about all of her things. She is a mom like myself and has multiple businesses. So I'm so excited to dive into that today.
Well, hello. Thank you for having me. I'm very excited. I didn't realize we were talking about all the things, but I do a lot of things. I don't know how.
All of the things.
I don't know what I do or how I do it, but I do it.
That's what I'm most excited to get into today is you do so many things. So I met you through Ariel, which was our
Yes.
guest last week, who has Mermaid Glow Co. And when she first told me, about you, I was like, oh my goodness, how does she do all the things? So I'm excited to kind of get into that. It's a lot.
Yeah, it is. But I think it's just kind of, it was engraved in my brain before my son was born. And it's definitely a lot harder now. And I feel like I'm not doing as well as I'd like to. Things have changed, but I don't think it'll ever stop. Like I always have to be doing something, always.
Yes. Yeah, I feel the same way. I have to be busy. But for those that don't know you, what would you kind of like your introduction into yourself, kind of tell us a little bit about yourself?
I was actually just writing an introduction for myself this morning. That's funny because I was doing like a founder's post for the studio. Well, I'm 24 years old. My background is mainly in social media and fashion. That's kind of how I started way back when in high school. I started my YouTube channel. I think it was like my freshman year of high school, and things have changed obviously since. But really, just social media is what I've always been passionate about. And before social media, I was just a very creative person. So now, the social media has turned into, okay, how can I be creative? How can I help other people be creative? And so the social media turned into me starting my clothing business, my boutique, J. Ashley. And I started that before my son was born. That's a little bit more on the back burner just because it does take a lot more time to like really dig into. And then the clothing business, I just still felt like I was missing something. Like, okay, I need to be doing something a little bit more, and that came the studio next door, and that I would definitely call myself an entrepreneur, a creative person, entrepreneur, girl boss, all the things.
Mhm. That's awesome. Yeah, I was more focused on the studio, or I knew more about the studio. I didn't know about the fashion side of things, so that's super exciting too. I knew
Yes.
that in the studio you have a little, you have a rack of your clothes from the boutique,
Yes.
so that's exciting. But
Yes.
how? So your son is how old now? He just
He just turned 1. Yeah.
okay.
Yes.
Yeah, so having a younger child, my son is about to be 6, and sometimes I
Oh,
feel like
wow.
it's so hard. Yeah.
Oh, wow, yeah. I definitely think it makes it a little bit harder too because he has spina bifida. I don't know if you know that. He has spina bifida. He was diagnosed at like 18 weeks when I was pregnant. And that journey has been interesting for sure. We've had multiple surgeries within the last year. He had surgery before he was born. And trying to juggle being like a special needs mom too can be really rough, but really rewarding to know that like I was chosen to be his mom. But the pros and cons to it is, he does need me a little bit more, but he's also not like crawling all over the place, like all over the house. Like he can just kind of sit next to me and hang out because he's not fully walking yet or anything. We're in physical
Mhm.
therapy. So there's like pros and cons to it, but I do stay home with him full time. And I don't think I would choose it any other way, honestly.
Yes, yeah, we are definitely given, I feel like as moms, we are given, I think this about my own son, we're given the specific children for a specific reason. Like my son, I feel like he was like chosen for me for that reason.
Hmm.
And I think that's so special that like, you were chosen for that role. So
Right.
that is,
I wouldn't have
that's
10 years ago, I would have been like, there's no way I can't do that. But now here I am, and like, I'll take it all. I can give me any sort of surgery. I think we can get through it.
that is amazing. Yeah,
Crazy.
commend you for that for sure. So you started out kind of in the social media space, in the fashion space, and then how did you go to college for that, or you knew that that was what you wanted to do?
So originally I had a blog. I was inspired to make a blog for my older sister. She had a blog and that was what, 10 years ago plus, like it was
Mm,
that was when blogging was very, very popular. So the blog, was more like fashion and outfits and whatever. So that's how it started. And then the YouTube channel was simply like fashion and outfits. That kind of transformed into like challenges with like a past relationship, like all the toxic, things people love to watch. And I was that for a while.
mhm.
And I did a little bit of fashion as I kind of got out of that and I met my fiance, well, my husband now. So fashion has kind of been in there here and there. As a mom too, it's a lot harder to maintain like a great wardrobe all the time. So now Jay Ashley actually is kind of in the transitioning period of, okay, what do I want to sell? Do I want to sell clothes for other people or sell clothes for people like me? And I honestly am still trying to find my own identity as a new mom anyways. So fashion for me is a little iffy, but it's still always like my center when I have the time.
Yes. Yes, I deal with that. I struggle with that. I was looking at my closet this morning and I'm like, as a mom, I made a thread this morning, Threads is happening right now, and I
Yes.
made a thread and I'm like, I hate getting dressed. I hate getting ready. Like I hate doing my hair. I don't feel like if it was up to me, I would be wearing a Star Wars t-shirt and like cut off jeans and call it a
Yes.
day. So
Yes.
I think that's so special, like to be able to have maybe, a line of clothes that is easy for moms, something accessible, easy to
Mhm.
just throw on. I tend to choose the easier option. It's going to be a dress, it's going to be a t-shirt, it's going to be something like one and done
Absolutely.
type of deal. Yeah,
Hmm
so I
I
think
my go-to outfit right now is like tank top and some leggings or like a workout jacket and some leggings because up and down, back and forth, and out of the car, like I just need to be in some comfortable something.
yes, exactly. Yeah. So, yeah. So how did you started with the blog and the fashion, and then when did the idea of the photo studio come, or how did you know that was kind of where you wanted to go?
So I remember the month. By the way, he woke up. He's kind of in there, just like hanging out, rolling around. So if he starts crying, I'm gonna grab him. But I think he's okay for a
Okay.
minute.
Yeah, that's fine.
So it was in November. We actually had gone to a studio and done some family pictures. And at that point, my son was like 6 months old, give or take. We were still very fresh. We were newer parents. We didn't really know what we were doing. Jay Ashley was completely on hold. I was doing a lot more social media. And we went to the studio. And I even told the owner of the studio, I was like, you really inspired me to create something. Her studio is beautiful. It is local to Jacksonville, and I kind of mentioned it to my partner, my business partner, my mom. And I was like,
Mm.
I was inspired by this. I think it would be amazing if we opened up a studio, but not just a studio, an event space. And also to make the studio family friendly, because a lot of the ones I've seen around, they're family friendly, but there wasn't like a specific area for kids. And that's okay. Everyone can do their own thing, everyone has their own vibe of what they want. But me being the mom that I am with a son who literally is by my side 24/7, I need to be able to work with
Mm.
him next to me. And so I was like, well, that's an emptier market, like a family friendly, like genuinely family friendly studio. Let's do it. And she was like, I'm down. I'm excited because she's done event planning in the past on her own. And the studio isn't just for photos, it's for content creation. So, content creation, I feel like, is who I am. And now
Mm.
that I can't create the content as much, that doesn't mean that other people shouldn't have the space to do so. And so we did that. We made it family friendly. The event space is perfect. Like it's just kind of like an all in one blank canvas. Um, and I felt like it was something that Jacksonville didn't have that specific, you know what I mean? Um, but
Yeah.
it was like an idea, like a light bulb, and literally the idea was November, and we opened, what month are we in? July. I think we opened June 1st, I think was our opening day.
Wow.
So It was a pretty quick turnaround, and the spot that we actually found, my mom works right next door. So she owns an Allstate agency, and she's
Mm.
been in that plaza for 8 years, give or take. And that space had been vacant the last year. And so every
Wow.
time I went and saw her at the office, I'm like, Mom, I'm like, this is it. Like, I see it. I walk in, I see the vision. It was a complete renovation, and it came to life. Like, that's how I know it was meant to be, because everything just kind of fell in place. Like, we had some bumps in the road for sure, but everything fell into place, and I just knew, like, this is what we were meant to do, and to have my mom by my side doing it was like even better.
That is so cool. That's such a good story. It's crazy
Thank
because
you.
I went and did Mermaid Glow Co's branding photos at the studio. And I
Mhm.
kind of like, I figured I knew where it was, but when I got there, one of my first jobs was at the urgent care on the end of that plaza. So, like, it
That's
was a full, like, yeah,
yes,
memorable,
so
all
that's
these
cool.
great
Yeah.
people.
The area is a really good spot too. Like, I live in Orange Park, and that is technically Jacksonville, but it's right kind of by the highway. It's in a good middle spot. There's good parking. Like, it just kind of had everything that we needed. And there's even a grocery store. So you need groceries after you're done, you just go on over.
Yes, it's a really good area. I live in Orange Park as well. And so that area, my son is in summer camp currently, and
Okay.
he's at the Ortiga Elementary. So I'm
Oh, okay.
riding that,
Right there.
now,
Yeah.
yeah, all the time passing it. And I'm like, hey, I wave, walk past it. I'm like, oh, it's such a good spot.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad it's close.
Yes, yeah, it's in a good location. I wanted to talk a little bit about so you said when you first got it, it was a full renovation. So how was that process? I know we looked, probably it's been about a year ago now. We were kind of in that process. Synovia Marketing was in the process of thinking about opening a brick and mortar location, looking at
Mhm.
offices, commercial space, and it was a lot. So we
Yeah.
decided to hold on that because it's a whole
Yeah.
thing.
Um, it was awful, like you
Yeah.
imagine. It was rough. I think I don't even know what the worst part was. I think it's just stress, like the overall stress of getting everything together, making sure that everything works out, making sure that your contractors do it, what you tell them to do, and if they don't do it on your timing, it's like, okay, like, I'm waiting, I'm paying you, and we had really good contractors, really good team, like, helping get the studio together. Obviously, everything can't be perfect all the time. Financially, we just got a personal loan, like a big personal loan together, and we didn't have just the cash to just pour out into the space. So we had a really tight budget, which is okay, but it created a beautiful space. And I think that's important to know,
Mhm.
like, opening up a brick and mortar. I always had this idea that it was so easy until I got older and I realized, okay, there's a lot more that goes into it. And yeah, we did get a personal loan. There's no shame in that. But to get that,
Mhm.
you have to have X, Y, and Z. And to maintain that, you have to X, Y, and Z. And to budget properly, it's like, it's a whole big thing. So it's not impossible by any means. But it was a lot. And one of the harder parts, though, was having my son and all that construction going on for so long. It was really
Mhm.
hard for me to be there when I needed to, but I couldn't bring him. Like, when he was doing the sanding, when he was doing the painting, like, I wanted to go check on things, and he's with me, So, like, I would have to, like, keep my car running, have one of my mom's workers come and, like, hang out for a second, and then I run inside to check it out, or she'd FaceTime me. So, like, I was so happy when the paint was on the walls, the floors were down, because I was like, he can be here now. Like, he can come. My office, our office in the back, I'm primarily there. Is a perfect space for him. We set it up. We have, like, our space and, like, a TV in there now, but just, managing the stress of it, and then having a child who it's not safe for them to be in there was a pain, like a huge pain. But we made it work. And how many months later? I think we started renovations. You're gonna drop your jaw's gonna drop. So the idea came about November. We decided not to start any renovations till after my husband and I's wedding, which was in March. So we finished
Wow.
everything April, May. So in 2 months, we did all the renovations in 2 months. Yeah. I,
So what did you, so you got married
yes.
and the
So the wedding was March and everything else just kind of came after, but it was just a really tight schedule. And like I said, it was a lot of stress. Most people don't open for a year, 6 months, whatever. And I was like, no,
yeah.
like this is happening. I need it to happen now. I'm very impatient. Everyone
Mhm.
that knows me knows that, but it's because I'm so passionate and I was so excited, like I wanted to have like
Yeah.
a space to go. I wanted to go to work every day, you know what I mean? And
Mhm.
I just made it happen. I was like, okay, look, we got to make this happen, and our contractors probably hate me, but whatever, we got it done.
That is amazing. Yeah, I know that that is like in having my son when he was smaller, I stayed home with him for a year, and
Hmm.
during that time, I had like super bad postpartum depression. Like I wanted to get out, like just that feeling of like you said, like wanting to go to work. And I think having
Hmm.
that space for you to
Yes.
work, to get out of the house a little bit. I know he's there with you, but that's that's important. I feel like for to kind of have that like
To get
besides your
away.
house. Yes,
Right,
yeah.
right. And even though he's coming with me, it's still like a work environment. And do I wish I could afford to have someone watch him while he's with me or like to send him somewhere if I could? Yes, but
Mhm.
like health-wise, I don't trust anyone else to watch him really right now because he can't really speak and say what
Yeah.
he wants. And financially, I just can't afford to have someone come with. But I know things will get easier as we go. And so having that space truly makes my life easier. My mom's space is right next door. Like we are a really good team and my husband is great. Like if I need to go up there, he even said, he was like, for those whole 2 months, you literally were not home like at night because as soon as he'd get home, I'd go up to the studio and that sucked, obviously not being able to spend time with them. But I was like, as soon as it's done, like I'm there from like 9 to 5 or whatever time during the day and then I'm home. So like it's just a balance, like you said, and making it work. And it's still a struggle for sure, but
Yeah.
you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, it's the good struggle. I feel like I feel that same kind of thing of like having your own business is they're like, oh, I have my own business so that I have more time, for yourself. But people don't realize a lot of the times we're working more than a
Hmm.
regular job, but it's just
Oh
kind of
yeah.
on our terms. Like you can work your hours, however
Mhm.
you want to work them. Sometimes I'm in the
Yeah.
office until 2 o'clock in the morning but I
Hmm.
didn't work all day. I took my son to the movies or, we did
Hmm.
something fun,
Right. It's just
which
more
I think,
flexibility, I think, with having your own business. That's the biggest thing. It's a lot harder to maintain
hmm,
because you are the center of everything. So if anything goes wrong, it's on you. Or if it like it's people sometimes think that starting a business is all fun and all these things, but really it's actually more challenging and has a lot more responsibility and it's not made for everyone. But those that can, props.
yeah, 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 it's a whole other badge of honor over here.
Hmm.
It's like,
Hmm.
crazy.
Oh, for sure.
Well, I wanted to talk about because I'm most excited for the space for like the event aspect. I think that is so cool. I'm so excited to get some events there, maybe attend some events, have some things there.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about that. How does that kind of play into? I know it has the photography aspect and the content creation as well as like the event space.
Yes. So the space is about 1,400 square feet total. That's including obviously the bathroom and like the back office. So those aren't included in it. I don't know exactly what the size is without those things, but you've seen it. It's a very, very big space. And so what we did was we made the walls white, we made the floors really neutral. That way, besides the studio aspect, everything can be taken out. And we provide tables, chairs, and linens. And the types of tables are kind of, we're still trying to figure it out because we haven't had too many events yet. So we just kind of, used what we had, but we want to get specific tables and chairs for the studio. So the first event we had was my son's birthday. He had turned 1. We actually rented tables and chairs like ourselves just to see how the setup would look, and it fit perfectly. I was afraid it was going to be kind of tight, but you can have any sort of event. Like it is such a blank canvas. You can have a class, you can do like a networking event, you can do a birthday party, baby shower, bridal shower. I wish I was getting married. Like I wish the studio was open while I was getting married. I would have done all my things there. So you
Yeah.
can have up to 38 people, give or take, in the studio. I think it's 40, but we kind of dropped it just a couple because, sometimes there's more people going on, whatever. And you empty the space out. Well, we empty the space out, and you can let us know if there's certain furniture that you'd like to keep in there. Like the super white furniture, we're definitely gonna like take out, but like little things like the big backdrop on the wall, you can't take that off just because it's on the wall. But it was up during my son's birthday party, and you couldn't even tell. You know what I mean? Like it was just such a great event. There's a handicap accessible bathroom. There's dressing room. So an event that we're actually hosting is with my clothing business, and it's basically collab with my clothing business, the studio, and then Ray Permanent Jewelry, and we're doing like a girls night in. So that's something fun. Everyone's just going to come hang out. We're going to have snacks, champagne. People are going to get their jewelry. They're going to shop. There's also places to sit. So there's just so many different things that you can do with it. And I'm really looking forward to seeing other people book it, just to see what people come up with and how they decorate it. Because we don't decorate. We just kind of leave it as a blank canvas for whoever's coming. But it definitely is the more exciting side of the studio because you can just get so creative and have so much fun. Like his birthday was construction themed. And even though it was all bright and crazy, nothing clashed because everything else was white. So like you can do anything you want. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited about that event. We're definitely going to try to come to that. I'm super excited. I think the good part, or one of the best parts that I would think about it, is the collaboration and kind of the community aspect. So it does
Yes.
allow you to, network with businesses and kind of collab and do that type of thing and get to see how other people do that as well. So it's
Right.
really, I think it's going to be a great place for the community. Jacksonville has one of the best small business communities and business communities that I've
Yes.
seen.
I agree.
So I'm excited to kind of get to see that too and see it used and come to events and,
Come to
I think
life.
it's really
Yes.
great. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I love it.
I like the neutral aspect because you can kind of do what you want, with decorations and things like that. It makes it really easy. I think that's great.
Hmm. Yeah, that was the overall goal is, you know, not everyone has the same visual ideas, creative ideas as you. So to leave it as a blank canvas is our best bet. And obviously, like the furniture that we have is more of like a modern vibe. It's not really boho, it's more of like that chic, modern, simple, neutral vibe, but you can transform it. And that is really important for people to know. And we do provide extra props and little things here and there, like for events and stuff like that. It's just, we're actually still in the process of getting our website built. So most of our photos, all of our photos are just social media right now, not like on a website. But that's actually in the process. And we did our branding shoot there at the studio too. And that was nice to, get some content in the studio. So lots of fun things. And if I was a creator or someone hosting an event, I would book the studio.
Yeah, I feel like it's going to be a great space. Are you currently working, like if someone wants to do a photography shoot or something there, and maybe they don't know like a photographer, do you have photographers that like you're working with or recommending, or like what
Yes.
is that kind of process?
So, two things. I have a preferred vendor list. I'm still working on it and finalizing it because I really want to choose like the best people that I know that I've worked with and my mom has worked with. So, we have a preferred list. And also on the side, I'm adding something else that I do to my list of things. I'm going to start taking photos as well. So, I have a really great camera. I use it for my clothing business. It's just like I actually am going to a photography class next week to kind of like learn a little bit more too. So I have people I'm going to refer them to because everyone's editing style is different. I'm going to start to offer my services. I have my first shoot this Saturday too. So there's like a few different type of things that we offer, but we definitely, if you don't know one, we will help you find one for sure.
That's perfect. And as far as like, so you have the photographers, and then I know you have a rack of like your clothing there. Is there going to be like an option where your clothing could be used for the shoots, or you can purchase
You
the
read my mind.
clothes?
Yes, you
Yeah.
read my mind. It was actually in the beginning stages back in November when we started talking about everything. It was on my list of like, okay, what's included? What do I want included? Jay Ashley can
Mm.
be rentable. You can use the clothing if you'd like. So it's definitely in the future for sure because it's going to take a little bit more to like figure that out and the whole like how all that goes, but it's definitely a thought for sure because some people may not want to buy the item, they just want to use it for a shoot. And so yeah, that is one of the reasons why it's in there as well. And when people are using the studio or they're at an event and they just want to shop Jay Ashley, they can while they're there. So I had to put my two babies in one. I was like, Mom, we need a space. And she was like, I agree. So it's
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, I think that's awesome, especially with like the dressing room. The dressing room's so cute, so they can
Yes.
try on the clothes or they can use the clothes in the future. I think
Yeah.
that's a really good idea.
Thank
So
you.
I'm really going to touch on the studio is the main focus. Also, you're still doing spray tan as well, like on the side. So you have the
Yes.
fashion aspect, you have the studio aspect, you have the spray tan aspect. So
Yes.
we can still book spray tans with you as well.
Yes. So my grandma is actually about to walk in the door. Let me open it for her really quickly. Okay, I didn't know she was
Okay.
coming over. I'm sorry. She called me a couple times, but I didn't want to answer. But say hey, grandma. Hi. So yes, the spray tanning, I definitely still do it on the side. I actually started working with Ariel to make some extra money because as a business owner, and all I do is own businesses, that it just doesn't
Right.
always bring in money, right? So I'm a stay-at-home
Especially in
mom.
the beginning.
Right. I
Yeah.
needed to make some money and Ariel did my spray tan for my wedding and I was like obsessed. I loved it and I was posting that I needed a job and she's like, I actually need some help. Would you want to come work for me? She trained me for a couple weeks and I've been doing it for like 3 months now. And when we do get bookings, it's a little slow because it's summer. But when we do, like, people can book her or I. And the benefit to that is she does like the day bookings and I do the evening bookings. So when my husband gets home, I can go and do it. And I really enjoy it as well. I enjoy not having to maintain another business, but just work. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I get a booking and okay, I go do it. I don't have to maintain the social media. I don't have to do any of the business owner stuff. And I told her that. I was like, I just want to make some money, do good spray tans and make people happy, not have to do all those extra things that I already do on my own.
Yes, yeah, that is. I think we talked about that a couple episodes ago with Pam, but like all of the things that go into the business, like as the business owner, you're the marketing, you're the social media, you're the, bringing in your sales in the beginning, you're all of these things. So that's kind of the difference between like the entrepreneurship and like having a job. A
Yeah,
job you can just go to and then you clock out in the afternoon and you just come home.
right.
Whereas like the entrepreneurship, it never turns on. Like you're always
It's
going.
always going on in your brain. Could you just check on your
Yeah.
brother when you go second? I think the blanket is wrapped around his little body. I just want to make sure he's all right. He's just in there, just like going nuts back and forth. But yeah, he is. I'm just looking at the monitor, like, what is he doing? He's like off to the side, just like. But yeah, the brain never shuts off. And sometimes I tell my husband I'm jealous. Like, I just want to be able to go to work and come back and that be it. You know what I mean? Like, I
Yeah.
sometimes miss that 9 to 5 because I had one before my son was born. I was a leasing agent at an apartment complex in Jacksonville. I loved it. I loved it so much. Like, I would still be doing it if I could, but I can't. So now I just dream about it. And, I was built to be a business owner just like you. And when you have it, you can't let it go. So it's a good skill to
Yeah.
have.
Yeah, it's definitely like that intrinsic like need, like for my whole life, I didn't know exactly what it was like called, but I knew that like I wanted something that was my own. Like there's a positive and a negative, like we were talking about. If something goes wrong, yes, it's on me. But when something goes right, it's also on me. Like, I feel like pride in that like I did that and I did it well and I'm, making an impact and making people happy. So it's
Yeah.
positive and negative in good and bad
Yes,
ways, for sure. Yeah.
absolutely. It is a roller coaster, a big roller coaster.
Yes. Well, I want to just say thank you so much for being here, for taking the time today. I hope that everyone gets to see the studio, visit the studio, whether it's for content creation or for events or for all of the things. Where can they find you in all of your endeavors? What is all of the links for that? I'm going to drop them in the show notes as well.
Yes. So the first one is my main social media page, and that's going to be jaden.ashley. And then you have my, but what was I going to say? My small business, my clothing brand, J Ashley. So that's going to be shop j.ashley on Instagram. And then the studio is Studio Next Door Jax. So all the
Awesome,
things. My
awesome.
brain is like, I had a brain fart for a second. I'm like, what are all of them? I don't even know.
Yes. So you're like half on mom mode right now, half on
I know.
business mode, and
I
then you
hear
got
him
like,
over there.
yeah.
Yes.
Well, I do also want to put the information for the event that's coming up as well. What's the date on that?
July, we're in July, right? July 22nd at 5 p.m. at the studio. So it's from 5 to 9, and you can actually sign up. And I would prefer people to RSVP. That way we kind of know how many people are coming. But yeah, July 22nd at 5 p.m. at the studio.
Awesome. That sounds great. Well, thank you again so much for being here, taking the time with us today. And everyone, go check out the studio next door.
Yes, please. And thank you so much for having me. You're doing awesome. Girl, mom power all the way.
Thank you. Yes, well, we will talk later.
All right. Thank you. Bye.